Hello everyone. Ethics is the most unpredictable paper in UPSC Mains. It is often grouped alongside essay and optional as the trinity that describes your mains, that describes and decides your main selection. Every year, lakhs of aspirants prepare rigorously for GS1, GS2 and GS3, but many ignore ethics or prepare it half-heartedly, and this is exactly where the ranks are decided. In this video, I will discuss the core reasons why most aspirants fail in ethics paper, what one expert calls the blunders of studying or blunders making mistakes in ethics paper, and how you can avoid these mistakes. First, let us do the reality check. Let us begin with the crucial reality check. The average ethics score often hovers around 90 to 95 marks. However, successful candidates consistently score much higher, reaching up to 120 or 130 marks. We have seen scores jump significantly, for instance, from 100 to 140, 100 to 130, if the student has prepared meticulously for ethics exam. This 30 plus marks difference is completely achievable, and it can mean a difference of 200 ranks. The key is understanding what UPSC actually tests in this ethics paper. Now let us start with the failure number 1. The reason number 1 is that aspirants treat ethics like another GS paper. They read theory, memorize concepts, and reproduce shallow answers. UPSC is not looking for facts or data. It tests your reasoning, your values, and decision making in administrative dilemmas. When answering case studies, students often limit their answers to a general studies perspective. You must think like an administrator, taking a broad angle. This means including essential institutional framework, ensuring public participation, establishing robust grievance mechanisms, otherwise rights. If this is not this holistic perspective is not given in the examination paper, then our answer will be very shallow. The reason for scoring less in ethics exam, which I will call the failure number 2, is missing the differential context. A major failing, especially in case studies, is missing the differential context. Case studies can be derived from the public sector or from the private sector or from NGOs. Each sector has its own specific ethical principles and keywords. Aspirants often interchangeably use generic principles like transparency and accountability across all scenarios. This is a mistake, this is a blunder. For instance, in the public sector, one should use terms like Nolan committee principles, integrity, or principles of accountability. But in private sector, concepts like profit maximization, corporate social responsibility (CSR), trusteeship, and stakeholder analysis become more specific and important. Ignoring this distinction is a sign of shallow reading. Even though UPSC syllabus explicitly lists ethical dilemmas in public and private institution as a topic, so UPSC in its syllabus itself has delineated or demarcated that there is ethical dilemmas in public sphere and there is an ethical dilemmas in private institution. It is mentioned as a topic itself. Now let us move to the reason failure number 3. The major mistake often highlighted by examiners is dull and repetitive introductions. Many aspirants start all of their case studies indiscriminately with the stakeholder analysis. While stakeholder analysis is important in private sector cases where many institutions like supplier, consumers, and regulators are involved, But this approach of stakeholder analysis can backfire if there are very few people involved. For instance, in the case of personal dilemmas. Instead, one should be very creative. Start by identifying the core issues. For example, what is the core issue in this particular case study, whether it is the work culture or it is the issue of corruption. So you should identify the core issues, then you should quote the legal or constitutional context around it, and then you should quote legal judgments like Puttaswamy judgment for privacy issues, or if you can find an article, constitutional article, then you can quote that thing also. Now let us move on to the fourth reason of failure, which is conceptual confusion and generic keywords. A significant failing is the lack of clarity on ethical terminologies. For example, integrity is not as same as honesty. Honesty is truthfulness, whereas integrity implies consistency of moral character even when unobserved. UPSC in its answers rewards this conceptual clarity. Furthermore, aspirants often confuse ethical issues and ethical dilemmas. So there is a distinction between the two. A dilemma requires a conflict between two competing ethical values, and then you have to make a choice, which is a difficult choice. Whereas an ethical issue is a violation of a single principle. So therefore, such kind of distinction should be clearly brought about in your writing. You should also avoid generic phrases like short term versus long term. You should make your point very specific and very contextual. The context should be the background of your case study. And lastly, you should also avoid puking values and quotes indiscriminately. Dumping keywords like integrity, honesty, and courage without specific context, it highlights a shallow understanding of the topic. Moving on to the next reason for failure is mechanical actions without justification. Aspirants frequently write mechanical and shallow answers, focusing excessively on actions, that I will do this, I will do that, as if they are some kind of Superman. This is insufficient. You must provide compelling arguments and justifications to substantiate your choices, why you are taking a particular decision. This conviction might stem from your conscious or from your duty, sense of duty, or your image as a role model, that you have to be a role model. This is a crucial mistake which should be avoided. Another thing is giving an incomplete argument. Any strong ethical decision, such as taking action against any kind of sand mafia or whistleblowing, will carry inherent demerits such as threats to family or delayed promotions. An incomplete argument fails to address why these demerits are acceptable to you. You are taking a stand, then these demerits should be acceptable to you. You must specifically address why you are willing to face false cases or shunting, or perhaps by expressing full faith in the judiciary. Now let us move on to the next reason for failure, which is shallow reading and missing systemic issues. Many students conduct a shallow reading of the case study and missing crucial ethical cues provided by the UPSC. Every element, such as your role, what is the role given to you, whether you are an executive engineer, whether you are a district magistrate, you should see from that perspective. And what is the organizational structure when you are operating, whether the structure is hierarchical or it is the flatter structure as in the private organizations. and the what is the urgency in the matter, whether there is a public pressure or whether there is some kind of traffic congestion. All these things should be, while reading your case study, you should keep an eye on these important aspects of the case. Another important thing is that a shallow reading often means you are overlooking the systemic issues. Whatever decision you take in a case study, whether it is you take the decision of whistleblowing or you take the decision of an investigation, you must also address the broader failure. What is that broader failure which led to the whistleblowing, which led to this investigation? For example, a case study might reveal a failure of the internal risk management system. So there is some kind of failure in internal risk management system. That means you need to suggest in your answers that a third party audit or structural changes should be made in order to prevent reoccurrence of such issues. So you should also suggest systemic issues. Now moving on to the next reason for failure is the lack of real life examples. While preparing, some aspirants focus too much on abstract theoretical thinkers like Plato, Hobbes, and Aristotle. Although using thinkers is important to substantiate arguments, simply dumping quotation is ineffective if they do not relate to the case study framework. UPSC rewards authenticity in your answers. You must back up your values with real life, current, or mythological or historical examples. These examples are very crucial and they will help you improve your ethics score dramatically. Now moving on to the next reason for failure is over idealism and mundane suggestions. Ethics demand practical side also. Over idealism, writing sermons or quoting philosophers everywhere is not what UPSC expects. You need to be balanced. Ideal principle, but ideal in principle. You should be ideal in principle but realistic in action. This principle is very vital in your conclusion. Avoid providing mundane suggestions. Do not just write big generic words like I will strive to do this female empowerment, women empowerment. Your suggestions must be specific and actionable. You must differentiate between short term solutions and steps that provide long term relief. So there are certain short term solutions, and then the solutions gradually should migrate to the steps that provide long term relief in your case study answer. Finally, always project your personal vision on social issues being discussed, such as child labor. So you should also project what is your personal vision. You want to eradicate child labor, so any personal touch which you want to give in your answers, that will also help improve your marks. Moving on to the next reason for failure is the one is the poor practice and second is poor revision. So two final preparation mistakes should be really addressed. Addressing these mistakes is very crucial. So UPSC Mains is an intense exam, and failing to practice full length mock leads to leaving significant parts of the paper unattempted. Sometimes even two full case studies worth 40 marks are being you if you're not able to plan properly, then you may have to leave the case studies. So knowledge is one thing, but applying it under stressed or timed condition require practicing mock test and attempting every question. So so you should not be hung up on two case studies and you're not able to attempt the rest of the case studies. So these kind of things should not happen. Another reason is aspirants often fail to revise properly. Instead of relying on bulky notes, instead they rely on trying to prepare from bulky notes. Consolidate you should try to consolidate all your definitions, examples and thinkers into concise pages. For instance, if you have 10 concise pages wherein you have written all your definitions, examples and thinkers, then that will help you revising very efficiently. Revision is the application of your knowledge. Aim to revise these consolidated notes 3 to 4 times before exams to ensure conceptual clarity, conceptual knowledge, right? So to just briefly give a summary, the pitfalls you should avoid and how to master your ethics paper. You should build your own dictionary. You should gain deep conceptual clarity on terminologies, differentiating between values, different values. Then you should also think contextually. You use ethical principles specific to that sector. uh, the next point is you should try to vary your introductions, avoid repetitive introductions. uh, the next is justify and address and all the demerits. Focus on arguments behind your action, not just the action itself. Address why demerits of your choices are acceptable to you. You should also try to identify systemic issues. You should look beyond the immediate problem to address the larger structural failures that led to the crisis. You should be authentic. Yeah. And you should practice realistically. You should be balanced. You should be ideal in principles, but actionable in conclusion. You should also practice the mock test to increase your speed and to able to manage the exam stress. So therefore all I will say is that ethics is not about memorization. It is about reflection. You need to read, you need to reflect. It is your personality on the paper. If you approach the paper with maturity, composure and ethical balance, it will show in your answers. Master the concepts, practice realistically and present your answer with conviction. If you follow these strategies, you will cross the 110 plus marks barrier. I'm very sure about it. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe for more UPSC strategy videos. Thank you.